I think that we had very good conversation with President Trump.
Very good.
And it really was the best one, maybe the best one will be in the future.
I think if we play this well, we could end this. And we have to end this. We have to stop the killing. We have to stop the destruction of Ukraine's infrastructure.
Now we are here to work together with you on a just and lasting peace for Ukraine. Stop the killing. This is really our common interest. Stop the killing.
The next steps ahead are the more complicated ones now. The path is open. You opened it last Friday. But now the way is open for complicated negotiations.
Everybody around this table is in favor of peace. And we work very hard, and we've worked very hard during the past few years to have a peace which is a robust and long-standing peace.
European leaders getting their say on the matter of what happens next in Ukraine. Peace, front and centre, but details we were hearing from Metz are going to be complicated, and how we make this work has yet to be determined. Let's find out all the other takeaways we got from the events in DC last night. Crook joins us with the details. Ollie.
Yeah, that's right, Guy. You can really sort of always rely on the Germans for that sober perspective to focus on the difficulties ahead, and I think that that is something that you can't really sort of underplay at this point. All of that being said, just at a very broad level, this is a meeting that went much better, of course, for Zelensky than it did back in February. This is a situation in which European leaders are very conscious of the fact that the Trump train is leaving the station, and the only thing worse than being on a train whose direction you don't know is entirely where it's headed, you don't not necessarily familiar with the route, is not being on the train. So they're making a full-throated effort to get on board completely. They thanked Donald Trump repeatedly, and there are sort of three main priorities that they wanted to take away from this meeting. The first was to get more detail on what these Article 5-like security guarantees that the United States now has been talking about for the first time over the last 48 hours. What do those actually include? What is Europe's role within that? That is something that we are starting to get more clarity on. We still have a lot of ambiguity around it, but it's clear that this architecture is being worked on. This idea of a ceasefire, this was really pushed by Macron in March. It's something that Trump really has sort of been pushing back against now over the last 48 hours since that meeting in Alaska. There's always a question also about the trilateral meeting going forward. When will that happen between Trump, Putin, and Zelensky? And of course, I think they'll also be reassured by the fact that territory was not something that was so prominent in the conversation. There's pressure on Zelensky to give up territory. Trump has been reiterating that this is a Ukrainian decision. Have a listen, though, to the conversation that we had in the Oval Office, a little flavor of the change in tone that we had between Zelensky and Trump.
We need to stop this war, to stop Russia, and we need support American and European partners. We will do our best for this.
If everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat, and I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
And sort of looking ahead to what is next, we got some idea of what Trump has in mind in terms of the sequencing. He came out on Truth Social saying this: "At the conclusion of the meetings, I called President Putin and began the arrangements for a meeting at a location yet to be determined between President Putin and President Zelensky. After the meeting takes place, we will have a trilat, which would be between the two presidents plus myself." We're starting to see some reporting here from Reuters recently that this meeting could take place in Hungary as soon as in the next 2 weeks. That being said, no one expected the Putin-Trump meeting to take place in Alaska, so we take that with a grain of salt. All of this being said, the European leaders are unified. They came to D.C. with a single message, but they still need to go back to their homes in Europe and sell this at home. There is a lot of money that will be involved in whatever Article 5 style-like security guarantees looks like. There will also be the question about boots on the ground looking forward. This is something that I've spoken to many German officials about over the last few months. It is something that the Germans, for example, a large supporter of Ukraine, have been very reticent to sign on for. So there is a huge amount of work still to do in the future, though what is very clear, it seems, from this meeting is that this architecture of what security guarantees will look like has become clear, and it's something that they're all very much working on over the last few weeks and continue into the next few weeks.